Welcome to episode 4 in the Church Beyond the Walls podcast. It's been quite interesting that the first 3 episodes we've had people from the Belfast East Circuit, and it's nice to venture out. And today we have the Rev Alan Conly here with us today. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for offering your expertise.
Don't know about that now, but yeah, good to be here.
But it's great to have you on. So tell me a little bit, before we dig into your context and what's going on for you, tell us a little bit about you.
Okay, I'm Alan. I'm a Methodist minister based in Shankill and Woodvale. I am married to Elaine.
Me too.
Are you?
Yeah.
Well,
not the same Elaine, obviously, because
that would be a wee bit weird.
Yeah.
Married, 26 years coming this July. I have 2 kids. I have a daughter, Lauren, who is 22, and a son, Matthew, who is 19. So they're up a bit. And
how is that possible?
I know you're looking at it going, how? And but yeah. Married at 21. We've done it all early. See, that's what it was. And so that's that. So that would be my family. And then we're foster carers as well in the mix of it. So just to make life even more complicated. So we have a 12-year-old girl and a 2-year-old girl with us at the moment. So life is busy.
That's amazing.
But it's good. It's good crack.
Wow. So how long have you been a Methodist minister for?
I am now a Methodist minister 7 years.
7 years?
Yep.
And is this your first station or is this your second?
No, this is my second. I was in Jonemount Methodist and then down into Shankill and Woodvale 2 years now. Wow. Just coming up 2 years.
How's that going?
So, going well. Going really well. Down the road a wee bit sort of thing, because Jonemount was up at the top of Old Park and now down to the Shankill Woodvale, which is a new culture for me in a way and a very different culture. But it's good. It's going well. People are lovely, like. Good. I think that's a part of it.
I think it's a thing for people in Northern Ireland where we are nice people, aren't we?
We are. We're dead on, like most of us. The majority of us. Yeah. The majority of us, But yeah.
What's your heart? What's your heart?
My heart. Ooh, that's a big question.
It is.
My heart is for people to meet Jesus. I think at the crux of it all, when it all boils down to it, I just want people to meet Jesus, because he's class, like, and that's it at the minute. He's class, and I think it is people meet Jesus, they find out he is quite awesome, and they meet him for himself, and amazing thing happen then whenever they meet Jesus. So it's trying to get people to meet Jesus in whatever way they can. Awesome.
I love that. I love how you just said it. Jesus is class.
He is,
and he is.
He is, because it is. We have this whole how people see him and think of all this stuff and all. But he actually, when it boiled down to it, when you look at him, he's class, like. Is it just what he done and how he handled himself and all about him? It's class.
I love
it. That seems to be my word for this season at the minute. Everything's just class.
That's all right. It's a very 90s thing, actually.
Yeah, it is. You call me aged there, like.
No, I'm 90s too, so it's all right.
That's all right.
But Church Beyond the Walls podcast, one of the things we really want to look at, and for anybody that's maybe tuning in for the first time, you can follow the rest of the little episodes. We want to chat with different people in different contexts. I think as we even look at the wider church mission statement, we want to see transformation. And in order for that to happen, I believe we've got to get beyond the walls.
Yep.
So it's been nice to talk to different people from different contexts to see how that looks for them, where they're at, and how that's going. And actually, it's great to have a resource where we can learn from each other and even to have a chat. Like, I'm loving the conversations. I'm going, love this idea, great. I'll maybe look at this, or how do we adapt this to fit us?
Yep.
So that's what I wanted to do. That's why I wanted to bring you in today, to have a chat, learn a bit more about what is going on up at Shankill and Woodvale, and how you're connecting with the community around you and what we can learn from you guys.
Okay, brilliant.
So fill me in. What's going on?
Okay, well, I think for me the main thing is I, as part of my ministry, I have a thing called Rise Up, where I gather people in on a Monday and a Wednesday to make bread. So so as part of my ministry, this is who I am and part of who I am. So on a Monday and Wednesday, I have Shankill had a old coffee shop that hasn't been used for a number of years. And so I now have taken that over and spruced it up a wee bit and got it sorted, got tables. So I open up the doors and I invite people in to make bread. So we literally gather around the table, we make bread by hand, 2 loaves of bread, and spend the morning together. And it's like we make the bread by hand, and then while it's proven, we have a cup of tea, talk about the things of life, and then at around 12 o'clock, we hold prayers, and that's done with a liturgical prayer that people can join in, and then there's an opportunity to give things that we're thankful for, or maybe it's something in our life or somebody that we want prayer for, and we go round and we share that. And then I'll have made a pot of soup and some fresh bread, ham and cheese, and you have your lunch together. And then you leave with 2 loaves of bread, one to keep and one to give away and share with somebody else. So that's what I'm at.
That is probably one of the best things I have ever heard in my life. That is so good. Where did that come from?
It came from, like every good idea, we ripped it off somebody else.
Oh,
yeah, that's everything. Yes, so there's the Methodist Church in Liverpool, have a place over in Liverpool, and they do this. They have bread church. And so it started with, I was the minister of Joe Mount, and I had Cave Hill, and Cave Hill sadly closed. So I was like, right, okay, now what? And it was the Reverend Alan Lorimer. Him and I were chatting, and he was like, have you heard of bread church? So I have a catering background. So I was a chef before and a catering manager before I was in ministry. So he was like, have you ever heard of bread church? I'm like, no. And looked it up. And just before COVID, him and I took a trip to Liverpool and experienced it and went and done it with them. And I sat and I just fell in love with it. And it was just, now they've been doing it for years, and there was just so many different people gathered around this one big table and doing life together. And I'm like, this is what it's about. So for me, it's about the hospitality. And then it was like, I'm doing this. And so started in Joe Mount. And then when I was restationed down to there, then moved it down. And as I say, it's now part of my ministry. So wherever I go, it'll be coming with me.
So good.
But it's just and our thing is, it's welcome to all. So I put the shutters up and I open up the front door of the coffee shop. And it's attached to the church, but you don't have to go through the church doors.
Yeah.
It's got its own front door, which was a thing that I really wanted. And God was like, well, here you go then. And so it's that and then all are welcome, no matter who you are. You walk through the door and you'll either get a cup of tea, bowl of soup, loaf of bread to take home or something.
That's so good, man. Honestly, like, I love that. I love creativity. I love hearing stuff like that. How have people received that?
They've received it really with a bit of skepticism for some people. They're like, what? What are you doing? What? and I'm like, come and experience it. Come and try it and you'll see. And enthusiasm from some, and then a bit of, it's like everything. It's something different, and people are going, right, okay, not really sure, so that's all right. You go do that.
Yeah.
And but do you know what it is? It's most people who have came and tried it have stayed. You know, on a Monday and a Wednesday, you could have about 12 people on each day, different people who would come and be part of that, and that feeling of belonging. So we're a family, and they even said we're a community and we're a family, and of that sense of we belong together. And there's a mix of people. So there's people who have lost loved ones and are now just trying to find something to do. So they come and they're part of it. There are people who are unchurched who come to it. There are people who, and even at the majority would be churched at the minute. Yeah. But even at that, as I was looking, there's about 10 to 12 different churches all between the 2 days coming together. And that doesn't even happen in this day and age. It's like you small corner and stay out of mine.
Yeah, that's true.
So which is sad, but that's the way we are at the minute. Yeah. So even in that element, but yeah, I love it. It's so simple, but it's just showing we care, we're there.
And it's amazing that it brings together so many different things. It brings together that social element of bringing people together and that building of relationships. It's good in the sense as well that it's quite a skillful thing to learn as well. Like,
do you know what? Yes, and it's that sense of pride for people. So it's that of you have people coming in and going, I've never made bread before in my life, and I'm going, well, you will leave with 2 beautiful loaves of bread, and they're like, oh no, and then you show them, and they're going, I made that, and then the sharing of it as well. So when you're giving it away, you're giving it to somebody going, I made this, and so you're showing somebody as well going. That pride in it, which we don't often have, of I achieved something. Yeah. And for some, if they are the few that are elderly on their own, they're going, that could be the only thing they feel that they've achieved that week. Yeah. Where it's so it's a skill that we've lost in this generation, because it was all the grannies and the great grannies who'd done the baking, the sodas and and everything else, and the smell of it all, and so we're losing that skill. So it's trying to just as well bring that back.
It's amazing. I'm drooling at the thought of it. Actually, you have to teach me sometime how to make a loaf of bread. I
Absolutely.
wouldn't even know where to start. Genuinely, like my height is probably cheesecake, and I won't even touch the gelatin type because I'm too don't want to mess it up.
You see, I can't stand that bacon.
Yeah.
So that was the ironic thing. I was a chef, but I'm one of those bit of this, bit of that, and the other. So whereas to follow recipes, cakes and all that, I don't have time for it or patience. Whereas bread, you bung it in and it'll turn out in some shape or form. It'll be edible. And that's the good bit about it. It's that, and they're all different. Everybody's loaves are different and unique and everything else. And
There's something in that as well, isn't there?
you think
You'll not need any sermons for the next wee while. They're all planned out for you.
Yeah, definitely.
So what else is going on? I love this. Surely you can't top this, can you?
Well, don't know. Probably not. But I could talk all day about it. But it is, yeah. So there's other things. We have, as a church, our two churches, we have a food bank, and just trying to reach out to those who, we're a non-referral food bank. So for those who just miss that gap, who aren't able just to make it through and just need that bit of assistance. So we have a food bank that we run, Oasis Food Bank, and it's been going now for several years. And just trying to meet that need for people, that practical need, as well as everything else. We're trying to build up resources for people. I think it's that of, and people to meet Jesus, it needs to be done in different ways. So as part of that, we've been running an Alpha course for those who are within the church. And that place for those who just want to ask questions and learn a bit more and explore it for themselves. Because, we're good at telling people that, good Protestant tradition, that's that of this is what you believe and this is it.
Yeah.
Don't question anybody. But actually we need to work it out for ourselves. And in those times of trouble or when things come along, that's when people start to question. And if we haven't got that skill to do that, then that can lead for people to walk away and do whatever. So it's that trying to help people to explore that and see for themselves. So we've done, started with the Youth Alpha, and we had 2 young people within the church who we just felt, we are fortunate. We have Imogen Spears, who are youth and children's and community worker, and her and I then done the Alpha, Youth Alpha for them, and that place for them, and that then led to one of the adults said, well, I've never done Alpha, can we do it?
Yeah.
I'm like, sure, let's do it. So we are finishing off, 2 weeks have us finished, and held our Saturday day there on Saturday past. So it's brilliant to see people just explore it. And
can I tease into that actually? Because I know I've had conversations with quite a few sort of leaders in many different church settings, and they always talk about, I would like to think about doing Alpha, but then there's little apprehensions about, what about this, what about that, what about that. How have you found it?
I found it really good to hear people's conversations. And it's even people sharing life, because we don't have opportunities for people to share life. On a Sunday morning, there's never a place for it. And that's grand. So we need to make those opportunities. And I suppose with Rise Up has that opportunity as well as people talk. But for Alpha, it's hearing those conversations. So I purposefully don't sit in a group, because it's one of those with the ministers there, people don't like to talk, the usual, and they think I have all the answers. And I don't want to put people off going, I don't.
Yeah.
So I'm able to then listen to the different groups and call around and see them. But it's just as people share of maybe that week of something's hit them or something. And so it's people doing life, which is just brilliant. And so, I would just give it a go for people. And, what's the worst can happen? Yeah. There'll be awkward silences, and what? We all need a few awkward silences in life.
It's funny, I'm actually going to pick your brain while you're here, and I can't believe we're going to do this as part of the podcast, but here we are. And I'm thinking outside for myself here, and this is one of the things I love when I said to you beforehand when we were sort of talking about before we started. I love hearing of what's going on in different places and learning, and that idea of sort of teaching each other almost as we journey. We've done Alpha, and actually one of the things that we're in this sort of process of trying to work out at the minute is the big question of what next, because I don't want to say we haven't traditionally done it well, but we're really good at getting sort of, as we share the good news of Jesus with people, and they decide, I want that for me, and they make that commitment, and then we're like, happy days.
Yeah.
And then we stop.
Yes.
And it's like, okay, how do we make the Great Commission? How do we change it back to what it was meant to be, of making disciples rather than just making converts?
Yes.
And how do we, so I'm thinking of things like Alpha, if we do things like Alpha, or Christianity Explored, or whatever it is in your setting,
Yes.
how do we make there be a next bit?
Yeah. And that's the essential part of it as well.
Yeah.
You know, and it's fantastic when someone comes to Christ and we have that conversion, but it is that walking with them. I think that's the key to it. It's walking with them. And whatever tool that takes, whether, as you say, it's Alpha or Christianity Explored or some form of a mentorship, but it's just, again, it's just journeying with people and giving them opportunities to meet and go, this is where I am. You know, this is how I'm feeling.
Yeah.
And where's God in the middle of that? And helping people to find God in the middle of everyday things. And giving them that skill set for themselves. I've started as well. Rev Alan Conly is contemplative prayer, and he is very much a leader in that. So we have started. I'm starting heartfulness. Okay. So it's like Christian mindfulness and centre in prayer, and we've had a teaching day on that. And very soon I'm going to start doing that in Shankill and tagging that on with Rise Up, of just having that opportunity for people to come and be still and to be silent in the presence of the God and just going, I'm here and I've no agenda, you know, and it's those type of wee things and helping people to become aware of God in the everyday. I think that's the huge thing that we need people to do for themselves, to know, actually, I can do that and God is with me as I stand and wash my own dishes and as I'm out doing this and out doing that. And so it's helping people to gain that confidence of going, I can do that. It's not all up to the minister anymore.
Yeah.
You know, where it's, you know, and that's the danger of it. But it's trying to help people gain that for themselves.
Yeah. And I think that is, it's unfortunately something we have fallen into, and I do feel, I feel sorry for you guys in ordained ministry, because there is this thing of, we've left everything to you to get on with, and actually we haven't we believe in this, you know, the priesthood of all believers, but yet it doesn't, a lot of times it doesn't end up being like that.
Yeah.
And it's how do we make disciples who will make disciples who will make disciples who will make disciples?
Yes.
And how do we do that well?
Yes.
But yeah, it's a big question. We could be talking for hours. We need another podcast for that.
I know.
I want to talk about youth and children's work. You've talked
Yes.
about Emma Jane and you talked about Youth Alpha and stuff. How are things on that front?
Things on that front are thankfully really good. Emma Jane has been, for us, we've got we've seen our thing as getting into the schools, which is that's our target. You know, that we're now at that third generation, don't know anything about God. And our children are there. And for us, and I feel that our children are the place where we can reconnect with people. Society and those generations around our age and the slightly younger have no time for it. And for whatever reason that is. Whereas our children, I think, are where we can start to rebuild on that. Yeah. So we're seeing our schools as that. So we've been focusing in on assemblies, SUs, and working with Scripture Union. So Emma Jane and Steve from the Welcome Church, which is just across the road from Woodvale, have been going in and done 6, I think, of our 7 or 8 local primary schools. The It's Your Move is for the P7s. So even having that of move and helping them process that, practical things, and bringing God into that.
Yeah.
And so for us, we're making that connections with the schools. Christmas, we done Follow the Star, which is brilliant. Love it. Every church should do Follow the Star, just even for the adults, for the crack. Love it. And because in Woodville, we ended up with a fight of who was going to be King Herod, because everybody wanted to be King Herod.
Who were you?
Joseph, and a few times I was King Herod. I was allowed to do it a couple of times.
Okay.
So hopefully we're doing it again this year. So I'll be fighting for that spot with a couple of, because it's just good crack. But again, it was that of, we had 5 primary school or 5 P3s in. And again, we were then bringing that Christmas story in a different way, of teaching them the Christmas story and then the crafts and welcoming them in and welcoming the kids into this church and going, this is where we are. This is what we're about. And so it's trying to help connect with those children, and making them feel that they belong. We started after schools as well, and a Friday afternoon drop in, and it is manic, absolutely manic. And there could be about 14, 15 of them, but it's just bedlam. I don't know, it's nuts, but it's great.
What age group's that?
They'll be around P6 actually. The
Okay.
majority of it's P3 to P7,
Okay.
but the majority seem to be about that P6 with a few P3, P4s, and so but it's showing them that we care and that we they belong, and again that feeling of I belong to something and they actually care about me, and so it's making those connections of going, this is who we are and this is what it's about. So with our and we started a YF then with them. And again, it's around that 9 to 13-year-old age and working with them in that area, and a bit of crossover and stuff. And then Shankill have a BB and a GB, and they've had them for years and continue to do it really well. And to have captain and officers and leaders who are really passionate about the girls and the boys and just want to see them know Jesus himself. And again, it's trying to reach them and their families ultimately as well on those few occasions that then they'll appear at church, and just trying to say hello, we're here.
It's funny, as we've chatted with different people, there's a key word that keeps coming up, in a sense of, maybe not without using the word, but you're inferring the word, is this idea of relationships.
Yeah,
It's so building good relationships are so important.
it is. I think it's the key to it. And it is, if we're thinking, as you mentioned there about, conversion and people come to Christ, it's through those relationships. It's, yes, there's been the altar calls and everything else and those brilliant things, but the majority is through those conversations and those gentle relationships as we walk with somebody, journeying with that, and then them going, okay. So we have to have those relationships with people. And I think it's something we'd lost as church. And so it's that trying to rebuild that, and show again there's this trust with church, which has been built up through society for whatever reason. So it's trying to regain that again and going, okay, we're here, not just for baptisms, funerals, the general things, but actually we're here other times. And for me, we need to. I suppose because of Rise Up, I'm like, we get the door open as much as we can and let them know that we're alive, and not just on a Sunday morning, but we're alive and we are active and we are wanting to share with you, in ways that we can.
I'm going to give you a really big question here. Apologies in advance before I say it.
Thanks.
If there is, I don't know, a member of a church council watching this, or maybe a minister in another church or a lay person or whoever it is, they're watching this and they think, oh my goodness, some of the stuff that's going on in Shankill and Woodvale is amazing. It would be good to learn from them. What, obviously context and stuff are different, but what would you say to those people if there may be a church that hasn't done an awful lot of missional / outreach work in general? They've been very good at doing maintenance work with their own people.
Yes.
But they haven't maybe thunk. We'll go with that anyway. They haven't been thinking sort of beyond the people who already belong.
Yes.
What would you say to them?
That's another big question. I think it would be start small. Sometimes we think it has to be all singing and dancing and everything else, but it's starting small, and it's starting with what you have. Because, yes, I do Rise Up and I do my bread church, but that's not for everybody. And that's my gifting, and that's part of it. But that's not everybody's. So we can't lift somebody else's thing and put it onto them. We can get it, as you say, it's the ideas and things, but it's working with what you've got. And so it's finding those skills and those things, and somebody with a bit of passion and a feeling of going, actually, I think maybe we could try this, and then just going for it. I think my big thing is, and I'm trying to, it's trying to, for me, with my two church councils, of asking that question, well, what is church? For a start, and it's what do we classify as church? It's the mums and tots. Yeah. For them, that's church. Yeah. You might see them on a Sunday morning, but for them, they feel that they belong. I'm back at that word. There's that key word again. They feel that they belong to that place, and that's their church. Yeah. So it's trying to find something small that you can then grow into something, and just give it a go. Yeah. What's the worst can happen? I think we've always had that fear of if you start something and it has to close or it fails, so what? It's better to try something than not.
Yeah.
And so it's try small and start small and with what you've got. But also, it's on the other side of that, we always have that tendency to feel we need to do more and we need to do something else. We should be doing this, and they're doing that, and we should be doing this and doing more. But actually, we need to celebrate what we're doing first before we start to move on to what's next. We need to celebrate for what we're doing now or what it's been in the past, and give thanks for that. Because when you do that, that helps you realize actually who you are, and then will give you that courage to step forward and continue on. So we need to celebrate what we're doing before we start to try and even plan and move forward.
That was a good answer.
Thanks.
Good answer. Well done. Well
Thanks.
done. Good answer. Good answer. Before you go, can I pray for you?
Absolutely.
That'd be okay. Let's pray. Lord, we thank you. We thank you for Alan and for all of the gifts and abilities and talents you've given him, the leadership qualities and skills you've given him as well. We thank you for the church councils up at Shankill and Woodvale. We thank you for all the folks that are part of the congregation up there and for those that are connecting in with all the different things that are going on. God, we thank you for creativity and we thank you for Rise Up. Thank you for that amazing idea and that opportunity to bring people together. Lord, I pray that as Alan and Emma Jane and all of those folks up that neck of the woods engage with your work beyond the walls, that you will bless them in what they do. You will create and foster good relationships. And we just pray, Lord, that you will reveal yourself more in that part of Belfast through the work that you've given these folks to do on your behalf. God, just go with them. And we just pray that they will see growth, not necessarily on a Sunday morning, because it's more than that, but actually as they try and engage with more people, that we'll see more relationships grow. And that's what I want to pray for, Lord. So we thank you that you hear us, and we bring you these prayers in Jesus' name. Amen. Thank you for coming on. Great to hear all the stuff that's going on, and oh man, I'm so excited to hear more.
Happy days.
Catch you soon.
Brilliant. Cheers.